Good evening and welcome to the 27th Annual Banquet of the Armenian Studies Program. It's great to see all of you here this evening. We hope that you'll enjoy our evening. We have some wonderful food, and then we have a lot of things to do to meet our students, to talk a little bit about our program, and to talk a little bit about Fresno State, what's happening interesting out at Fresno State. I'm very pleased today to introduce our guest priest who is going to give the invocation today. He is the youngest and newest priest in the Fresno area, Armenian priest. He is the newly appointed pastor at the St. Paul Armenian Church. He is originally from Syria, but has spent time in parishes in Iran and in Lebanon, and then came to the United States at the end of last year, actually in the middle of last year, and became the pastor at St. Paul Armenian Church in August of 2014. So I would like to invite Father Yesai Bedros to give the invocation. Father Yesai.
Good. Good evening. How are you? I want to thank you, really, first of all, Paulo, that he invited me to come here and participate with you for this occasion. And I want to thank you also, because you are here to support our Armenian studies in Fresno State. You are doing a very good job to support them, and we are so happy for having you, and I'm sure that we'll have a good time. Actually, I won't be able to participate all the time for the program, but I will be here for a while, and then I will leave. But now I want to invite you to pray together, Hail Mary, and then we'll bless the food to enjoy the food together. Let's say Hail Mary together. Ortnial Demet Jesus Christos, Amen. Hail Mary, ora Genesis, super Exianco, Iglesia Catholico, Ieruzicanco, Orbes Reginis Evergli, Zhats Mehana Basur, Lunes Aisur, Ietones Spargismer, Orbes Yemecton, Veros Pardabanats, Yemidanis Mezikosutin, Ein Precarius Mischai, Zikoya Caritun, Yemzolitun, Parcavitian Savidenits, Amen. Ortnesi, Serana, Sevasiana, Gitsavan, Evortvo, Evoquin Serpo, Jashagesu, Hautian Pesquera, Goris, for Barkeviale, Mesidiale, Ortniale, Deri Barkevesur, Amen. O our Lord Jesus Christ, bless our food and bless your servants who prepared this food. Bless our Armenian studies, every teacher and every student, and give them prosperity and success. In Jesus' name, Amen. Enjoy your meal.
Thank you, dear. At this time, you will be served salad, and I will be coming back to give some opening comments during your meal so that we can move the program along. So please enjoy your meal. If there's anything that we can do for you, please see one of the servers or myself. Thank you.
This is interesting, you say That's interesting. I totally not Armenian. Unless maybe the middle.
Good evening once again, ladies and gentlemen. Please continue to enjoy your salads. And while we're just getting started here, I want to make some brief introductions to introduce some of our guests tonight. And then we'll continue with dinner, and then we'll have our program. As always, it's great to see the wonderful turnout that we had this evening. It's always good to see the students and all of their family and friends that are here. But we're also very happy to have with us special guests from the university. And I'd like to introduce some of our guests that are here this evening. I'd like to introduce our president, Dr. Joseph Castro, Fresno State President Joseph Castro. His schedule is so busy, it's so hard to be able to schedule him in. I was talking to his assistant, and she said this was for another event, and she said, well, that's the only night he has free in 2 weeks. And I said, just put it on his schedule, let him decide. But I want to thank you, Dr. Castro. You've always supported the program since you came last year. In his first year, this is his second year as Fresno State President, and he has been incredibly supportive of our program, and we appreciate his presence here tonight. Thank you again, Dr. Castro. Well, it just looks like we Armenians have really gotten places. Our next guest is Debbie Adishian Astone. Debbie Adishian is now the interim vice president for administration for the university. Debbie. I have to tell everybody, Debbie, I remember Debbie as a student when she was working part-time in one of the offices on campus, and then she just worked her way through, and you know, she's done a wonderful job. She's been the vice president for auxiliary corporations and now has added a second hat for the interim period as vice president for administration. That basically is responsible for everything at the university that isn't academic, has to now go through her office. So it's an incredible position, and it's an incredibly wonderful person that's taking that position. We also have with us another person from the president's cabinet, and that's the vice president for university advancement, Paula Castillo. Paula. Thank you for taking time to be with us this evening. We also have with us Shirley Malikian Armbruster, associate vice president for university communications. And then we have our guests from the college. We, in the Armenian Studies program, belong to the College of Arts and Humanities, and I'm happy to say tonight that we're joined by our dean, Dr. Jose Diaz, and his partner, Tom Dino. Dr. Diaz, who's the interim dean of the College of Arts and Humanities. We're joined tonight by Dr. Sao Jimenez Sandoval, the interim associate dean, and his wife, Dr. Mariana Agnasnatopoulos, from the philosophy department. I'm sorry, I'm a last name, I tried it. Very much appreciate her being here. We have Dan Kimball, Director of Corporate and Foundation Relations from the university. These are all the people that Dr. Laporte and I work with on an everyday basis. These are the people that we see and interact with at the university level. We also have with us Munja Yunue. Munja is the Interim Director of Development for the College of Arts and Humanities. These are the administration guests that we have. We also have our guests from the university. My colleague, Dr. Sergio Laporta, Barbarian Professor of Armenian Studies. He's here tonight with his wife, Melina, and his two children, Lucine and Zavin. So we're happy to have them here this evening. This year, many of you know that we have our visiting professor, our 11th Kazan visiting professor in Armenian Studies, Dr. Mirna Duzjan is here this evening with her husband. Thank you for coming from Los Angeles, joining us this evening. We have the chair of the Department of Sociology, my former student, Dr. Matthew Gendian. Matt. From the history department, we have Dr. Jill Fields, who is also the director of the Jewish Studies Certificate Program. Dr. Fields, thank you for coming this evening. We also have Pamela Uday, for a lecturer in the Department of Accountancy. Pamela, over here, thank you. Nazi Garisian is here. She's also a lecturer in the business department. Where are you at, Nazi? We also have my office assistant in the Armenian Studies program, Lucy Arisian. Lucy, would you stand up here? From the community, we also have some special guests. I'm very pleased to introduce the clergy that are here this evening. Father Yesai gave the invocation, but we also have with us this evening Father Vahan Gostanian, the pastor of Holy Trinity Armenian Apostolic Church, and his wife, Father Vahan. Coming from Fowler is Father Yevya Haidavedian, pastor of St. Gregory Armenian Church in Fowler, and his wife, Yevitsky Roberta. Thank you. Yes, very good, Dara. Thank you. Also, we have the chairman of the Parish Council of St. Paul Armenian Church, Ben Krikorian, and his wife, Clarice Ben. They're all at this table, they're shy, but they're here. Good to have you here, Ben. Yes, very much so. And also this evening we have guests from the Kian Armenian Community School. My sister, the principal of the Kian Community School, Zar Dermagadisha. Zar. And also the chairman of the board of trustees of the Kian Armenian Community School, Marshall Mushigan. Marshall? And this evening we have the chairman, the commander of the Knights of Vartan Yepadlat, Ara Karkazian, and his wife, Ara. Nice to have you here. Much of what you see this evening is due to the preparations of our host, that is the Fort Washington Golf and Country Club, and I would like to thank the manager of Fort Washington, Ali Fevandi, over here for everything that he's done this evening. Thank you, Ali. If you have your programs with you, I'd like to kind of go through with you to kind of tell you some things that we have in there that are special, and you can just kind of read some of them on your own. Some I'm going to go over, but if you look on the back page, there are some of the people that have helped to sponsor this evening's banquet. We have our table sponsors, Arnold and Diane Gazarian. Thank you, Arnold and Diane. They're seated over here. Thank you very much for supporting us. They have been longtime supporters of the program. Alice and Barrett Bullion, thank you for continually supporting the Armenian Studies program. Dr. Harry Mordigan Jr. Dr. Mordigan, thank you for supporting Armenian Studies. He's over here. Thank you. G. Franklin Antoyan, a friend of the Armenian Studies program. Franklin, over here. Herman and Kathy Wage. Thank you again, Herman and Kathy, for joining us. They're seated over here at the table, over here in the back area. Thank you for joining us. And then we have all of our sponsors and supporters and all the people that have made this evening possible. At the bottom, you see Ali's name that I've mentioned. I mentioned Lucy Arisian, who is our office assistant and has helped in the preparation for this evening. But I'd also like to mention Denise Bissett, who is the administrative assistant for the Department of Linguistics, who has provided a lot of support in preparing it. And I'd like to acknowledge her. Denise. Thank you. Actually, it's interesting, our offices are pretty much across the way from each other, and her daughter Katrina is now at Fresno State, and she's taking an Armenian Studies course, and I think she's really enjoying it. So good to see you here, Katrina. All right, good. That reminds me, Hagop Oanesian over here. Hagop, would you stand up? Hagop joined us this year as a lecturer in the Armenian Studies program, and he's teaching our Armenian Studies 10 course. And, you know, I've known Hagop ever since he started at Fresno State. He was president of the club, the Armenian club. He's just been involved very much with the Armenian Studies program, and we're very happy that he's now teaching and that his students now are responding to him as they have to Dr. Laporta and all of our teachers in the Armenian Studies program. I'd also like to thank all of the students of the Armenian Students Organization, represented by Marine Vartanyan and all of our executives. So would all the executives please stand for a moment? Marine and all of our executives. I think all of you noticed that there's something delicious on your tables. There's some simit. Simit is Armenian cookies. And yesterday, the students spent all afternoon baking the simit to have it ready for you because it's the 40th anniversary of the Armenian Students Organization. And that's their way of showing their appreciation to all of you. So please enjoy these cookies. Take them home if there's nobody at your table. So thank you, ASO, everybody that was cooking yesterday. Thank you. While dinner is being served, it's just starting to be served, I'm going to make my brief remarks at this point in order to kind of save time a little bit later. Once again, I'd like to welcome you to the Armenian Studies program. It is a privilege to be able to be with you this evening. Our annual banquet is one of my favorite moments in the whole academic year, even though I may be a little bit nervous tonight, and some of you said I was, looking at people and talking to them, but it's my favorite evening. Why? Because it's the time when we get to celebrate the achievements of our program and our students. And to me, all of us here, from the president down to faculty to everyone, we're only here because we have students. If we didn't have students, we wouldn't really have a university, would we? So it's thanks to our students tonight that we're here, and we want to celebrate with you their achievements, and we'll be doing that a little bit later. As I mentioned earlier, we're honored to have Dr. Castro here this evening, as well as all of the guests that I was inviting and introducing a little bit earlier. We've had a very, very active and successful 2014-2015 academic year. And if you look in your booklets on page Well, it's going to be on page 7. Page 7 gives you an idea of some of the programs, pretty much all of the programs, that we've organized and sponsored during the academic year. And you can see that it's been a pretty full year. And I'm always happy to have a variety of activities and programs. We've had movie showings, we've had different kinds of professors talking. We've had the great Khachadurian Trio. For those of you that were here on November 14th, we had a sellout of more than 350 people at the concert hall for this special 100th anniversary genocide commemorative concert. And they came all the way from Armenia to perform, and it was quite an extraordinary evening. And then you can see in spring what kind of a schedule we have. We have lots of activities, and you know that this year is the 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide, and so spring is really the busiest time of the year for us in the Armenian Studies program. We're very, very fortunate to enjoy the support of you, but we have two foundations that have been supporting the Armenian Studies program over the past few years, and one of them is the Leon S. Peters Foundation. And I really give our heartfelt thanks to them because they have been sponsoring our lecture series. They have been giving us $30,000 a year to spend on programs that we would like to do every year. And they really don't put any strings on it. We just give them a presentation, talk to them about what we do. They also give student scholarships, more than $5,000 in student scholarships. So we're very, very grateful to the Leon Peters Foundation. And then we have the Bertha and John Yarabedian Charitable Foundation, which this year gave us a grant of $11,000. And then I was just meeting with them for lunch a couple of weeks ago, and they said, you know, we've given over $100,000 to Armenian Studies in the past 20 years, and they give it for scholarships, for a variety of activities and funding. And so the booklet tells you a little bit about that, and I'll be talking more about that in a little bit later. This evening, as I mentioned, we're celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Armenian Students Organization. As I look around, I see many of our former students, my former classmates from the 1970s, and even earlier there are people here that belong to the Armenian club that existed before the Armenian Students Organization. 40 years is not a short period of time. We've had 40 years of activities. A little bit later, our students have a presentation I think you'll enjoy, so I'll leave that at this moment. And then finally, again, our third reason to be here tonight was to celebrate our large number of students who are here. And we have several categories of students. We have recipients of scholarships, which you can read about in your book, and at the end of our program tonight, we'll be mentioning all of the students. This year, we're very happy to say that 8 students are graduating with minors in Armenian Studies, which means they have completed 24 to 26 units in Armenian Studies. Tonight, they're going to be especially honored for their achievements, because it's not easy to take 24 to 26 units in addition to your major, and some students take other minors as well. And then finally, we also have the executive members of the Armenian Students Organization who will also be remembered. Now, you look around and somebody said, it's nice to see so many young people, and you know what? Tonight we have, out of 47 students who received scholarships, 42 of the students are here tonight with their family, and then we have other students who didn't receive scholarships but are just here. So we have 50 students here tonight that are represented. So I want to give all the students a round of applause. We're going to get to meet all of them a little bit later. So everybody asks, you know, well, what are you really doing? You know, what do you do? How do you spend your time? Well, we do research, we teach courses, we participate in faculty governance, we're involved in searches, we give public lectures. Just last week, on Thursday, Professor Laporta gave an excellent talk on the Armenian genocide as part of the Fresno State Talks series. And I was so happy for that because it's a series which was open to everyone on the campus, and there were a lot of non-Armenians there, and I think it's important that we reach out to the entire community. We give public lectures, we advise the students, we advise the students' organization, we advise the staff of Hai Sharjum, and we mentor students for their future careers. The doors are always open for us, to our students, to help them with questions that they may have. I want to especially mention Dr. Sergio Laporta tonight because of his involvement in the Armenian Genocide Centennial Fresno Committee, which is the overall organizing body for the activities here in the San Joaquin Valley. And he has taken that position. It's a challenging position, as you can imagine, working with more than 30 different organizations And Sergio, I want to thank you publicly for your taking that leadership role. Sergio Laporta for taking the role as leader of the Genocide Centennial Committee. So, as you're enjoying your steaks, it's basically because of you, because of the support of our community and those of you in attendance this evening, that the success of our program is possible. Our program is recognized internationally. Everywhere in the world, people know about the Armenian Studies program at Fresno State. And as parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, friends, you are responsible for raising the young people that are present here. And our work is a partnership between the university and the community. And so with our faculty that you've met this evening, our administrators, we're working closely with you, the community, and with the participation of students to continue that success in our Armenian Studies program. Personally, it's been a pleasure of mine to have been a part of this program for more than 36 years. I started as a student in 1978 with Dr. Dikran Kiyumjan. And anybody that had Dr. Kiyumjan, would you raise your hands? All of our former students that had Dr. Dikran Kiyumjan. He retired in 2008, and then I took over for him as the coordinator of the Armenian Studies program. But this year marks my 30th year as a teacher in the Armenian Studies program, as a professor in Armenian Studies. And let me tell you, it's just gone by so fast. Thank you. Enjoy your meal. We have much to celebrate this evening. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to meet a lot of our students and some of the special things that are happening in our program. So please enjoy your meal, and we'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Program really possible. But I'd also like to thank all of you in the community who have been so remarkable, particularly this past year, because this is, as we know and as Barlow mentioned, is the centenary of the Armenian genocide. And I can remember a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we were sitting around thinking, what would we do for that occasion? And it has sat on top of us. It has loomed over us because we've realized the importance of marking this year. And I've said it many times before, but I'll say it again, looking around at what every other community is doing, Fresno has done a darn great job in marking this anniversary and having it not just be about the past, but also looking towards the future. Because one big aspect of every single activity that we've run this year has been focused on education. Educating our students, educating our children, making sure that their children and grandchildren will also be educated. And at every single step of the way, I think that has been foremost. I know there are other committee members out here in the audience who are smiling because they know that this was a big component for us to make sure that this just wasn't about honoring and commemorating those who died, although that was an important aspect of it, but also to make sure that the next generations would know what happened and would learn from what happened to make sure that it wouldn't happen again. And so it's been a very, very proud moment for me to be part of this community on this year and to be part of the Armenian Studies program. So I'd like to thank you all for doing a wonderful job and for supporting the university and for supporting the Armenian Studies program. Thank you. And at this moment, I'd like to call forth, most of you remember probably our dean in the past, Dean Vida Samyan, who came and greeted us on many occasions. We've gone through a transition. We have a new dean, whom I'm absolutely happy to say shares Dean Samyan's support and devotion to this program. I've known Dr. Diaz from before he was dean. He was associate dean. He's also a member of the Fresno State Orchestra. I know that you've played with the Fresno Philharmonic, on a number of occasions. He's a wonderful musician and a genuinely great human being. I mean, we just had some wonderful conversations with him, many meals together, and his support for the Armenian community and for Armenian activities has been outstanding. And so it was with great pleasure that I learned that he was then nominated and accepted the position of Interim Dean of the College of Arts and Humanities. And so at this moment I'd like to call up Dr. Diaz to say a few words and to thank him for his continued support. It's been absolutely wonderful working with him, and I'm very happy that you're here with us this evening.
Well, thank you, Sergio, for that really humbling introduction. I've been fortunate to have been invited to this event for now over a decade, and I always look forward to this particular event every single year because it is truly a celebration of everything that our Armenian community stands for, that the things that you hold dear and most value, and that is the education of our youth. And it's incredibly wonderful that tonight we're going to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Armenian Student Association. So I'm really, really pleased to have this opportunity to thank those students for all of the work. And I see them not only in this organization, but I see them across campus in all kinds of opportunities with student government and university student union board of directors and all of these various different committees. So I'm really always very, very pleased that the enormous contributions that these young ladies and gentlemen play in the development of our university. And I wanted to thank all of you. I see a lot of wonderful faces here that I've known for many, many years and have established some great friendships with. And I just want to thank all of you for the enormous amount of support and the outpouring love that you give to the Armenian Studies program and more importantly to the students. And I consider myself fortunate to work with people like Sergio and Barlow because they are there all the time when I need to call on them for whatever, and they're right there to help support that. So without further ado, thank you very much, all of you, and it's my pleasure to be here tonight.
Thank you, Dean Diaz, for those comments. And it is always nice to be able to have a good relationship with your dean. The dean is the person that is directly responsible for the Armenian Studies program. There are actually 9 departments in the College of Arts and Humanities, which is the largest college on campus. So we have the most students, the largest departments, and we're very happy that the Armenian Studies program is an independent unit directly working with the dean. We're involved in all of the activities, councils, dean's councils, chairs councils, and so thank you very much for those comments. Our highlight tonight is on students, and there are so many talents that our students have that I don't even know about all of the talents that our students have. But one student that I've invited this evening is Joseph Bohigian to play some brief compositions. He's actually a senior graduating from Fresno State this semester, and he's a member of the Smith Camp Honors Campus, Smith Camp Honors College on Fresno State. He maintains a 4.0 grade point average. He's a composer, he's a performer. He lives here in Clovis, in this area, and turns out his parents are my cousins. That's just as a side note. We're a talented family, but Joey Bohigian is really a talented musician. He is now accepting offers from all over the United States to continue his work to get a PhD in the area of composition. And he is composed several works for tonight. On March 9th, which is a Monday night, all of you are invited to attend a concert that he is helping to organize with the New Music Ensemble. It's going to be at 8 o'clock in the concert hall. It's a free concert, and it's to honor living Armenian composers. And he has organized that, and his fellow students are going to be playing the music of those composers. And then he also has composed a piece on the 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide. That's just a little bit. Let's hear Joey Bohigian a little bit on the piano. Joe?
He actually wrote those as well. So another round of applause. It was just about a year ago today, at our last Armenian Studies banquet. And we had been talking for a while. Our preparations for our genocide, Armenian Genocide Centennial Memorial Monument, were in the planning. We were talking with Paul here, who's here, the architect. Barlow and I were talking, the committee members were talking. We talked with, who was then Vice President Madsen, about moving forward with the monument on campus. And it had been maybe a couple of days that we had approached the university with this idea. And it had been mentioned to President Castro. And we were hoping that he would agree to this. But he completely surprised us on the evening of the banquet, and when he came up here and said, if there was going to be a campus in this country that would have an Armenian Genocide Monument, it was going to be Fresno State. And Barlow and I had no idea that he was going to say this, but it truly took us back. No prompting, no discussions. I don't know how they felt back at the administration afterwards, but because there had been no, as far as we knew, no previous discussion, so we were truly amazed when he came out so forcefully in support of having the monument built on Fresno State's campus. And when earlier they said that this is President Castro's second year, it really struck me, because you have made such an impact on our campus that it seems that it's been much longer. Really, I can't think of any aspect of what we do that really hasn't been changed by your presence. And having someone who's from the Valley, having someone who knows the people here, and particularly for whom, when you said that we were Armenian, wasn't what? You know, yes. You know, what's that? Right? Somebody who was really from the very beginning, oh yes, I remember, I went to school with Armenians. I've known them all my life, and I realize the importance and significance that they play in the Valley in general, in the state of California, and in particular at Fresno State. And he warmly accepted our invitation last year to come and speak, and once again he has done so. And it's with great pleasure, and it's a great honor to once again introduce President Joseph Castro to you this evening. President Castro.
Good everybody. Thank you, Sergio. That was very kind of you. I appreciate it. Well, I think the best presidential speech is a short one, right? So I promise you brevity. I want to thank you for inviting me tonight to join you. Mary would have been here with us, but she has that really bad cold that has been traveling around, and I'm hoping that I don't get it myself. But she sends her regrets. She would have been here. Joey, you did a great job. Beautiful. Well done. Thank you. And it's you're his uncle, right? So my uncle calls me Joey too, and in fact, I was just in Hanford today, and they were calling me Joey all day. So I'm used to it, and hopefully that's okay with you. I want to say hello to the students. Congratulations to all the students on all of your incredible achievements, and it's nice to see so many of them here. 50 students, I'm told, are here, and that's just incredible. Congratulations to you. I want to thank all of the people here today, all of the parents and grandparents and community members for supporting this important Armenian Studies program. And yes, Sergio, I knew about Armenians before I became president. In fact, some of you may know Blanche Kasparian. Blanche Kasparian cut hair next to my mother for many, many years. And Blanche Kasparian was one of my closest friends growing up. She would tell me all sorts of stories, and including that, a lot about the Armenian culture. And Phil and Jeanette Marut as well in Hanford. The university has certainly, for a long time, shown its commitment to this program by having faculty like Sergio and others, and it's just been such an important part of the Central Valley. And I'm really proud of that. I think that's a real pride point for Fresno State, and that's something that with Dean Diaz and his leadership, we're going to continue for many generations ahead. Community support for this program is so valuable, so vital, and I know that many of you were acknowledged tonight, and I want to join in thanking you for that support, your generosity. We're very grateful for it, and it certainly has helped to make this program the most highly visible and prominent program of its kind in the nation. And if there is a university that should have the best Armenian Studies program, shouldn't it be Fresno State? And you were introduced to some of my cabinet members tonight. 3 of them are here. Debbie Addition A-Stone, Shirley Malikian Armbrister, and Paula Custadio. They all have one thing in common, in addition to being incredible people. They're all Fresno State graduates. And our cabinet has a very distinct Fresno State alumnus flavor to it. And I'm glad it also has a distinct Armenian flavor to it and San Joaquin Valley flavor to it. Fresno and the San Joaquin Valley are home to a significant Armenian population. We know that. And that population has prospered through hard work, innovation, and perseverance. And many of you have graduated from Fresno State and gone on to become leaders in so many fields. If I can ask, how many of you are Fresno State alumni who are here tonight? Beautiful. Thank you. As Sergio said, the Armenian Genocide Monument is now being constructed. I know we were talking about it a year ago, and I'm so very happy that we're near construction. We were talking about it tonight, and it looks like everything's on schedule for next month, right? We're going to do this next month together on the 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide. And I'm looking forward to joining all of you and so many others at Fresno State as we construct this monument. It's a symbol of hope and education, memory, and inspiration. Now, I could go on and on about why it's here, but I think it's simple. It's the right thing to do. Fresno State is home to so many Armenians of distinction and a top Armenian studies program. And given the location that we have here in our U.S., where else should there be such a monument? So I want to thank all of you who stretched to contribute to it, to make it a reality, and so excited about it, and I'm looking forward to it coming up in a few weeks. Thank you so much again for inviting me to join you. I want to ask for your continued support for Fresno State. We're on the rise. Our academic and athletic programs are rising together, and we need your continued support, and we appreciate everything that you've done. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. As I said, it's probably hard for anyone to imagine what the schedule of a president of the university is like, but he gets invited to just about every occasion at the university. And again, just our personal thanks from Sergio, myself, and our program for your constant support and joining us at our annual banquet. Now in its 27th year, so it's a great pleasure that you were able to join us. As you came in, you may have noticed that there were books put out on the table outside. The press at California State University, Fresno, was founded several years ago. And as part of that press, they've published all different kinds of books. And just as a gift tonight, those books that are out on the table are free for you to take home with you. And there are books about Frank Lloyd Wright, there's books about Fellini, there's a couple of Saroyan books. Anything you want to take, it's our gift from the College of Arts and Humanities, from the press at California State University, Fresno. And I'm also happy to say that that same press has now an Armenian series, and we have published 5 books with Armenian themes through that press, and it's been thanks through the college, through Dean Samian and Dean Costa before her, that have continued to support it. Now tonight we're here to celebrate the Armenian Students Organization, their 40th anniversary, and to help celebrate tonight, I'm going to invite the president of the club to come up and to introduce her executive and to say a few words. So Marine Vartanyan, the president of the Armenian Students Organization.
Good evening, everyone. I am Marine Vartanyan, the president of the Armenian Students Organization, as Professor Barlow said, but I also want to introduce to you our wonderful executive board, and can you guys just please stand up as I call out your name? We have Oksana Simonian, who is our vice president, Yuri Grigorian, who is our treasurer, Santevi Pavanisyan, who is our secretary, and Pavel Stambulyan, our public relations officer. So, in 1974, a dynamic group of young Armenian students established the Armenian Students Organization in efforts to preserve, celebrate, and educate on Armenian culture, history, and language. The mission of the organization has continued for generations, inspiring future students to stand up and embrace their Armenian roots. Throughout the decades, young Armenian students have demonstrated their unfaltering connection to their heritage through events and activities that have ranged from traditional dance lessons to April 24th genocide commemorations. The organization has served as a haven for many Armenian students at Fresno State, who, by joining, have met members and formed beautiful friendships, deepened their knowledge on their own heritage and identity, and enhance their college experience in an unforgettable way. Throughout my 4 years at Fresno State, I have been an active participant in the organization. I have witnessed the energy and excitement that drives our members to actively participate and contribute to the group. I have met some of my best friends. I have created some of the best moments of my life, best memories, and gained significant knowledge and experience that I will carry with me forever. As I stand here at my last Armenian Studies banquet as a Fresno State student and an ASO executive, I can't help but reflect on the many joyous years I have spent with ASO that have made my time at Fresno State so treasured. Fresno State takes pride in diversity, discovery, and distinction, and I strongly believe that the Armenian Students Organization, with the great help of our advisor, Professor Barlow, has succeeded in demonstrating these three values. Professor Barlow, I speak on behalf of all the ASO executives and the members when I say that your dedication to the Armenian Studies program and all Armenian events, all Armenian causes, it's truly inspirational and it inspires all us young leaders. I cannot thank you enough for being such a supportive mentor, such a supportive advisor, for answering all of our endless questions and being our friend. This year, the Armenian Students Organization celebrates its 40th anniversary. Yesterday, we took a lot of time to bake those sea meats, so I hope all of you will be tasting it and enjoying that. And we have also prepared a brief video that will take you throughout the years of the Armenian Students Organization, and I'm sure some of the members who have been active in the organization throughout the years will be able to spot themselves and enjoy the brief video. So I hope you enjoyed and have a great evening.
Thank you, Marlene, for that outstanding job. You could just get an idea of all the students and all the people that have made the ASO what it is today. And there are many of the former presidents, and we'll be talking a little bit more about it in just a few minutes. So once again, thank you very much. You know, we've talked so much tonight, or talked a little bit about the Armenian Genocide Monument. I wanted to give everyone a sense of the excitement that we on campus feel, because every day we get to walk by as the monument is going up. So I have a very brief PowerPoint with music to show us the history of this monument and what it looks like today. And if you get a chance, you'll want to go and visit it. So let's do that too. His name was mentioned earlier, but I'd like to introduce the prime architect, Paul Halajian. Paul. The whole committee has been working very hard. It's going up on Monday. They're going to be taking off all of that form, and the first 3 of the pillars will appear. And then over the next 2 weeks, they're going to form the other 6 pillars, and you'll see 9 pillars by the end of this month. As we move forward with that. So I thought I'd give that update so that you could see that. Now, we're going to move on to a really exciting part of the program, which is our students. So I'd like to invite Dr. Castro, Dr. Diaz, Dr. Laporta, come on up to help to give out the awards that we're going to give today. Recognition for our students. And we're going to start off with our minors in Armenian Studies. So I'm going to call the names of all of the minors in Armenian Studies, and I would like to come and have them stand here, and then we're going to give them something special this year, which has never before been done in Armenian Studies. So you can follow along. It's in the program if you want. You can look on page 5, I believe. Has the names of the graduating seniors. This is not a complete list of graduating seniors. It's really hard to figure out who's graduating, usually until they finish. But for us, we know who's going to get the minors. So, in order, Joseph Bohigian, just come on up. Aram Hajian, Tatavi Hovanesian, you can stand over here. Rosa Moravian, Bartush Mesropian, Michael Reddick, Vladimir Vartanyan. David Tatayan graduated last fall, but we have 7 of our minor students in Armenian Studies. So this year what we decided to do was to prepare these yokes, these stoles, which will be used for graduation, which have the have the Fresno State seal in red on a blue background, and then it says Minor in Armenian Studies in orange. This is for the outstanding effort that these students have done over the 4 or 5 years that they've been at Fresno State. So I would ask, maybe you can put that on with them, and then, so one by one, if you'll come, I'll say a few words about each of them, and then you. So these stoles will be used. Joey Bohigian, I told you a little bit about. Joey, go ahead. Yeah. And then just go down, and then just stand next to them. Our next minor is by Aram Hajian. Aram is graduating, business major. Congratulations, Aram. Our next graduate is Tatevi Hovanesian. Tatevi, member by ASL, executive. Rosa Moravian, also graduating, minor in Armenian Studies. Rosa. Michael Reddick is graduating with a major in history. Michael, congratulations. I missed Bartush in order, but Bartush Mesropian, come on, Bartush. Former president of ASO, two-time president, very active in our club and on our campus. And then our final minor recipient today is Marine Vartanyan, who we've already met. Marine, congratulations. Yeah. I'd like to invite them afterwards. We'll get together for a photograph, just the miners with President Castro. But thank you very much, miners. Let's recognize their achievement. Thank you. The recipients can be seated right now, Dr. Castro, Dr. Diaz. We're going to move on to our next series of recognition. This is recognition of lifetime donors to the Armenian Studies program. Let's turn to page 4 in your program. This is on page 4 and 6, and as you can see, it took some work, but we think we're pretty accurate. I've already, of course, made some mistakes, but pretty much these are people that have donated to the Armenian Studies program specifically. Many of them have donated also to the university, but we want to recognize them for their lifetime support of the Armenian Studies program. And the first people that I would like to give it to are our longtime supporters, Arnold and Diane Gazarian, who were instrumental in 1988 in making the first significant contribution to establish the Berberian Chair in Armenian Studies, which was the first endowed chair at Fresno State and in the whole system. So would you come up, please? And we've got some gifts and certificates to award to you. Arnold and Diane have been just tremendous supporters of the university, of the community. In many ways, their endowment of the Armenian Studies Chair, their support of the university has been exemplary, and we're very, very proud of their support of our program. So thank you very, very much, Arnold and Diane Gazarian, for your lifetime support of our Next on the list, as you see, there were many bequests. I have to say that this year has been just a year that I can't ever remember in my 30 years in Armenian Studies program. Some of you know that there was a supporter of Fresno State named Clifford Malikian. Clifford Malikian passed away recently, and Clifford Malikian's family decided to make all their in lieu donations to the Armenian Studies program, and more than 40 people donated in his name to the Armenian Studies program. In addition to that, when we learned that the Tarkanian family had so generously noted that bequests could also be made to the Armenian Studies program, it was simply overwhelming to be remembered by Jerry Tarkanian and his family. And then when I look at this list, just this year, the Armenian Studies program has received 3 bequests for $100,000, which are going to be used permanently for scholarships and support of the program. Anne Elizabeth Elbrecht had just passed away last year. Some of you remember her photographic exhibit, her and her husband's, which is on our website. Harvey Nalbandian just passed away from San Francisco last year. He has also left a bequest. And then Evelyn Soroyan Trigoni has also left a bequest of $100,000. I've already mentioned to you about our foundation support, so you can take a look at the Bertha and John Garabedian Charitable Foundation, the Thomas Kuyunjian Family Foundation, and the Leon S. Peters Foundation. Now I'm going to move down into the $25,000 to $39,000 category. And just recently, G. Franklin Antoyan established a scholarship fund for Armenian Studies. I want to recognize Mr. G. Franklin Antoyan for his support of Armenian Studies. Franklin has been a longtime supporter. I think maybe more than anybody that's here, he's been to just about every single Armenian Studies program event. And if he can't make it, he calls and says, I apologize, I can't make it. But, you know, he's thinking of the future. He's thinking of the future on behalf of he and his family. And we just really love that support, Franklin. Thank you very much, Franklin Antoyan. Thank you. Also in this category is another one of our longtime friends, Berjanalis Bulbulian. Berjanalis, would you come up, please? What can I say about Berjanalis? They've been part of the Armenian Studies program longer than I've been there. With Dr. Dikran Kyumjan, Berj is the author of the book The Fresno Armenians. Their children are Fresno State graduates. Their grandchildren are Fresno State graduates, minoring in Armenian Studies. Just overall a wonderful couple. Thank you, Alice and Berj. It's just nice to have friends that are like these couples that we've talked about and these individuals. More than anything, they're just friends. That is, they come, they talk to us, we engage with them, and then their support helps all of the people in this room. And then also in this list, we have in the $10,000 to $15,000 group, we have Nerses Leon Dermenjan. So Nerses, please come on up. I'd like to recognize you. Nerses is another one of my longtime acquaintances in the Armenian Studies program. Thank you, Nerses. So much in terms of support and being part of our program. So we really, really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Nerses. Appreciate it. As you just look through the rest of the list, most of the other people or individuals are scholarship funds, which either meant that, that they had left bequests. But it's really a program. When I started, I just looked it up. We had one scholarship fund in 1985 when I started. Today we have 16 Armenian Studies program scholarship funds. And let me tell you now, with the price of college going up, that today it's more important than ever that the support of our community has helped our students get that college education. So thank you all of our supporters. Thank you. We talked about our Armenian Students Organization executive members. I want to recognize them one more time, so I'm going to ask them to come up. I have a certificate for you on behalf of our program. So just come on up. Marine Vartanyan, President. Oksana Simonyan, Vice President. Treasurer Lilith Grigorian. And then Tatevi Kovanisyan, who is our Public Relations Officer. And Kaver Stambolian, who is our Public Relations Officer. Tatevi is our Secretary. Big round of a hand, a big round for well, you know, we have people that we have to recognize. You know, we don't want to wait till people are no longer here to recognize them. And for our students, I think, as I said, for me and my colleagues, this is our most satisfying evening when we get to see our students come and participate. So now we reach the point of our scholarship, so you can follow along. And then I'm just going to ask all the scholarship recipients to come up. You can come up this way. You can shake Dr. Castro's hand, Dr. Diaz, and then Dr. Laporta will give you a certificate and a book for your recognition for your support that is recipient of Armenian Studies scholarships. So. Okay, Okay, we're on page 2. We're just going to follow along. As the student is called, please come up in this direction with Dr. Castro, and then you can come over here, and then we're going to stand over here for a group picture. Armenian Professional Society of San Francisco Scholarship, Rosa Moravian. I'm just going to call them in order to save time. Nerses and Ruth Azadian Memorial Scholarship, Brioni Boyajian. Brioni Boyajian. Brioni is taking Armenian language class and Armenian Studies 10 class, very much involved. I think she'll do her minor in Armenian Studies. Next is the Kirkor and Mary Bedoyan Memorial Scholarship, Lauren Chardukian and Michael Ray. The Norma and Bob Dermagordichian Scholarship, Vartanush Mestropian. The Bertha and John Garabedian Foundation Scholarships, Dominic Bedrosian. Arnold Muradian. Arnold is a student that took a couple of classes with me. Maybe he took one class and then got very interested in Armenian studies. He's going to go on to graduate school in radiology. He's an outstanding student. All of our students are outstanding, but we want to congratulate him. Thank you, Arnold. Also receiving a Bertha and John Garabedian Scholarship, Anna Sicilian. Anna. Also receiving the Bertha and John Garabedian Foundation Scholarship, Arman Zakarian. Arman, you here? I'd like to add that these certificates come to us thanks to the Office of Fresno County Supervisor Andreas Borges, who every year recognizes through his efforts our students. So let's have a round of applause for Andreas Borges. The Peter Murad Hagopian Scholarship, Minas Arisian. Minas. Haberj Stambulian, Peter Murad Hagopian Scholarship. Haberj. You may have seen Minas in the PowerPoint. He was the one that did an Armenian rap for the genocide. And he's going to do one again this year. The Albert and Isabel Kaprelian Armenian Studies Scholarship, Lucy Garayan. Lucy. The Charlie Kayan Endowed Scholarship, Lilit Grigorian. Lilit. Sosi Kendoyan, same scholarship, Charlie Kayan Endowed Scholarship. Same Charlie Kayan that has supported the Armenian school. Haversh, you also have received a Charlie Kian, so we'll pass it down to Haversh. Thank you. The next one is the John and Lucille Melkonian Armenian Studies Scholarship, Ani Akizian. Ani? John and Lucille Melkonian were parishioners at St. Paul Armenian Church and had become close to the Armenian Studies program and left an endowed scholarship fund. The Koren and Alice Odian Kasparian Scholarship, Raquel Haidavedian. Raquel? The next series of scholarships are actually contributed by the Knights and Daughters of Vartan Scholarship. Joseph Bohigian is already up here. Marina Chadrukian will be announced in a moment. And also, you're going to be announced in another scholarship category, so we'll wait for a moment. Alexa Uday and Marina Vartanyan, 4 recipients of the Knights and Daughters of Vartan Scholarship. I will be announcing you again to come up, so just let's give a round of applause for the Knights and Daughters Scholarship. Thank you. Our largest category of scholarships is the Yervant Rose and Jovenes Livonian Armenian Scholarship. Minas Arisian was already recognized. Minas, congratulations. Sometimes we give multiple scholarships because of the funding within each scholarship category. Joseph Bohigian, Yervant Rose and Jovenes Livonian Scholarship. Congratulations, Joey. Brioni Boyajan. Brioni is already up here, right? Yes, Brioni. Congratulations again for the Livonian Scholarship. Lucy Garayan is also receiving a scholarship from the Livonian. Lucy, congratulations. Now some new names. Dylan Hammond. Dylan Hammond is receiving the Yervant Rose and Jovenes Livonian Armenian Scholarship. Tatevik Hovanesyan is also receiving that scholarship. As I mentioned, some are... Oh, she's not here? Yep, okay. I thought you... Come on up, Tatevik Hovanesyan, graduating senior, Livonian Scholarship. Also receiving the Livonian, this is our largest scholarship area, is Kyle Jensen. Kyle, come on up, Kyle. Alec Khachikian is also a recipient of the Livonian Scholarship. Alexei Korol is also a recipient. I'm not sure, did he make it tonight? No? Okay. And then next is Shelby Krikorian. Shelby, come on up. Yervant Rose and Jovenes Livonian Scholarship. Congratulations. Next recipient is Levon Manusharian. Levon Manusharian, a recipient of the Livonian Armenian Scholarship. Rosa Barabian has already received her recognition with the other scholarship. And the next scholarship recipient is Carlina Magardichian. Carlina. We gave out this year, as I said, 47 scholarships for $59,000. I think it's one of the largest scholarship areas, probably for any program at the university. Yes, it's worthy. It's your support. Bartush Petropian, over here, Bartush, good. Our next recipient is Arpine Mokhitarian. Arpine. Also a recipient of the Livonian Scholarship is Arlen Pilavian. Arlen. Michael Reddick, I think, is already here. There's Michael. We'll pass that down to Michael. Our next recipient is Elena Sarmazian. Elena. And the final recipient in this category is Osana Simonian, who's taking photographs. Thank you, Osana. We're on page 3, and we're almost at the end of the scholarship recipients, but the next scholarship area is the Charles K. and Pansy Patigian Zolokovich Endowed Scholarship. That's our oldest scholarship fund at the Armenian Studies program. Brianna Ivazian was the recipient. Naidi Bekverdian. Naidi Bekverdian. Please come on up. Thank you. Also receiving a Patigian scholarship is Katrina Bissett. Katrina, congratulations. Next recipient is Aram Hajian. Aram, congratulations. And our next recipient is George Pogosyan. George, come on up. Now, the Leon S. Peters Armenian Studies Scholarship was only recently endowed, and it's something that now we're receiving $5,000 a year, so we give out 5 scholarships per year. We'd like to thank the Leon Peters Foundation. Marina Chardukian. Marina?
Kindly the short people come up front and pass it around.
Congratulations for your awards. We wanted to take a quick picture with all of our minor recipients, with Dr. Castro, Dr. Diaz, Dr. Jimenez, Sandoval, Saul, come on up. Everybody can see okay, right? So thank you, Osana. Now just take it out. We'll get it out. Well, I don't want the frog. It's complete. Ladies and gentlemen, this will conclude our 27th Annual Armenian Studies Program Scholarship. Recipients, donors, minors, and executive officers of the Armenian Students Organization. Please take your time, spend time, come up and meet our students. Dr. Castro is here. Please come up and talk to him. On the way out, if you would like any books, you are welcome to take any of our books that you would like. And on behalf of Dr. Sergio Laporta and myself, thank you, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.